All right, Jason Forrest here, and here we go. Look, every company leader that I speak to wants to know basically kind of one simple thing. So I don't care if they're a prospect, I don't care if they're a client, they're always asking me one simple thing, and that is, how do I compare to the other companies, right? How do I compare? If you're a home builder, how do I compare to other home builders? If you're an in-home services company, how do I compare to the other fencing companies or roofing companies or flooring companies? How do I compare? And then the next question they ask is, why are they doing so much more than me? Why is this company performing, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times better than I am? What are they doing that is different than me? Well, most of you guys know this, but if you don't, my background is in neurolinguistic programming, which is the psychology of modeling others, psychology of how high performers think, speak, and act. Well, if you think about it, the same thing applies to companies, right? There are companies that as a whole are thinking, speaking, and acting different than companies that are not performing at that specific level. And so what I'm obsessed with is really kind of figuring that out. What are the cheat codes of life? What are the cheat codes of success? And how can I figure out, why is this company over here in the exact same industry, the exact same market, exact same circumstance? Why are they performing 2, 3, 4 times more than a company that's in the exact same circumstances, obviously not performing at that level? And it's nothing to do with the economy, nothing to do with the product, with all these other factors. It's something unique. And that unique thing is they decide to be different as it relates to sales and marketing. So what I'm going to do right now is on this webinar, I'm going to share with you, again, after working with thousands of companies, including the United States Army recruiters since 2008, what I've realized is that there are these 4 decisions that every company must make to grow their sales fast. And again, this is regardless of the circumstances or the economy. And about every 6 or 7 years, right, the economy goes to a downfall, right? So 2008, 2015, 2001, 2022, 2023, right? Every 7 years or so, there's been kind of a downturn, right? Even in the Great Depression was a 7th year. So we know that these economies have cycles, but what's, I think, a better story is, who are the companies that are not impacted by those cycles, right? Who are the companies that are not impacted by those negative type economies? And those are the organizations that I want to study. Those are the ones that I want to be a part of. Those are the ones I want to figure out, because again, those are the cheat codes of success. That's the way I want to run my own company at FPG. I want to run it in a way that, again, it's not impacted or influenced by the economy, that we have our own locus of control, our own ability to control our success regardless of the circumstances. And that's what I'm going to share with you today, is these decisions, these 4 specific decisions that I have studied. And I realized these 4 decisions that high-performing, highly profitable, highly sellable sales organizations are doing that other people are not doing. So for those who don't know me, my name is Jason Forrest. I'm the CEO of a company called FPG.com, where we recruit, train, and provide fractional sales leadership for companies that want to be revered for having the best sales experience in their industry. That's a cool thing, right? Because a lot of companies can say, you know what, we have the best product, we have the best marketing, we have the best design, we have the best customer service. How many organizations do you know that they brag about being the best sales experience in their industry? I don't know that many, but the ones that I do know are absolutely 10xing those that do not identify that, or do not have the desire for that, or have a vision for that. And so we want to work with those organizations. We don't want to work with every organization. We just want to work with the organizations that want to be revered for having the best sales experience in their industry, that want to be the best. They want to be the Nick Saban, the Kobe Bryant, the Michael Jordan of sales. That's who we want to work for and work with. So this weekend was the Easter holiday weekend, and we were going to church, and we decided to kind of quiz our kids. We got 3 kids. We got a 16-year-old, 14-year-old, 13-year-old. And we asked them, we said, hey, this is a very reverent kind of day and a very reverent weekend. And so we need to kind of have the energy of reverence. We asked our kids, what does reverence mean to you? They don't know that, which is an important word. Because again, my whole thing is, I want to work with organizations that want to be revered for having the best sales experience in the industry. And so, of course, my kid said, Dad, what does revered mean? And I just kind of off the cuff said, I don't know if this is the actual definition, this is just my definition. Off the cuff, I said, to be revered is to be respected at the highest possible level with a little dose of fear. Respected at the highest possible level, a little dose of fear. That's what reverence is. That's what to be revered really means. Like, think about that right now. Think of your biggest competitor. So the biggest competitor you have, again, in in-home sales and home building sales and manufacturing sales, just think of your biggest competitor. And right now, does your biggest competitor, do they worry about your prospect talking to you? What I mean, for example, is if your biggest competitor talks to one of your prospects and that prospect says, hey, I got to think about it, and I'm going to go talk to ABC company, and that ABC company is you. And do they go, oh, crap, they're going to go talk to ABC? ABC always has the greatest salespeople on the planet. They got these sales warriors, and I respect them the highest possible level. They have the highest possible training. They're the best they could possibly be. And I'm afraid that if I let this prospect go talk to ABC, they're never going to come back and talk to me because I revere them. I'm intimidated by them. I have the highest level of respect with a little dose of fear. That's what reverence is. And so right now, I want you to up your standard. I want to up your game. Do you have that? Right? Do you have that level of reverence? Are you creating the level of reverence in your sales organization, your sales experience, that your competition is afraid? They're afraid that if their prospect ever speaks to you, then you're going to close them and they're never going to get another shot because that's how good you are. That's my vision for you. All right, now on to the 4 decisions. So if you want to be known as having the best sales experience or industry and you want to be revered for that, well, there are these 4 decisions that you have to make. And so I'm going to share with you these 4 decisions. I'm not going to go through each one. And of course, if you have any questions about these 4 decisions, then just contact us. We can share with you how to implement them, how, again, top companies are implementing them. It's sales@fpg.com, or you go to fpg.com and of course, fill out a form and we'll get a hold of you. I'm sure in this webinar, there'll also be a link to a Zoom room that you can click into and of course, talk to someone if you have any immediate questions. But there are these 4 decisions that you need to make. I'm gonna go through each and every one of them, so definitely take some notes. Before I tell you this though, here's the thing. A decision, I think, is one of the coolest words, right? I'm a kind of a word freak, which is kind of funny because I didn't really enjoy school growing up and I wasn't really into this kind of stuff when I was a kid. But for some reason now I'm really into it. I love words, right? Words have so much value and energy and meaning behind them. And the word decision comes from the Latin root of incision, like they're connected. These are connected words. And so if you think about it, whenever you're making an incision, like a doctor makes an incision, what are they doing? They're cutting. And so whenever you decide to do something, you are cutting off all alternatives. And so these top organizations I'm telling you about right now that again are 10xing their counterparts in the exact same circumstance, exact same economy, everything's the same. They're 10xing them when it comes to sales performance. It's because they've decided to do these 4 things, which means they've cut off all other alternatives. They've burned the boats. Like when Cortez was invading Mexico, he looked at his troops and he said, hey, no one's ever conquered Mexico, so we're going to burn the ships, right? We're either going to die in Mexico or we're going to win, right? No one's going back. No one's retreating back to Spain. So that's the energy of deciding to do something. So I'm going to share these 4 decisions with you. And then why don't you ask yourself, you know what, on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 meaning, you know what, we've decided this and we live by this, and this is what we train on, this is what we do, this is how we're defined, this is a non-negotiable for us in our organization. Why don't you give yourself, that's 100, right? 100 is a non-negotiable, and we're not perfect at it, but definitely we live and die by this decision. And then a 1 is never really thought about it and we're really bad at it, right? So why don't you give yourself a little scale, or, after this recording, of course, share it with your team and you guys can kind of talk through it. But I'll tell you right now, I don't care if you've hired us as a private equity company, which a lot of private equity companies do. I don't care what it is, but if you're trying to scale, every single time an organization is failing at getting the performance they're looking for, I always bring out these 4 decisions and we always do a little grade, a little evaluation, and they're always, 100% of the time, they're always falling short in one of the 4 decisions, which is preventing them from achieving the sales desire that they are wanting. All right, so here we go. First decision you must master, that again, top organizations do, is they only hire coachable gumps. So as it relates to salespeople, anyone who's in the business of selling something for you, they only hire, again, what we call coachable gumps. So again, we're a recruiting company, we do this for you, or you do it for yourself. Let me share with you these characteristics that I say coachable gump. So really quick, a coachable means every time you call a play, right? You're a sales manager, you call a play, hey, I want you to say these things, I want you to do these things, I want you to ask this closing question and report back how it works. If they're coachable, they go, all right, I'll give it a shot and let you know. If they're not coachable, there's some level of resistance that they kind of push back. Hey boss, why do we need to do this? When do I need to do it? What's important to you? Can we talk it over one more time? I'm not sure I agree with this. There's some level of resistance that kind of makes them not coachable. So what's the problem with that? Well, the problem is it's hard to scale an organization if you have these kind of one-off people that you have to go and constantly sell or constantly convince on the play that you're calling as the sales leader. And so again, you want to hire people that are coachable. It doesn't mean they need to be just kind of blind followers. That's not what I'm saying. But the idea behind it is, how much energy does it take to get a person just to execute the play that you're calling? That's coachable. The G for GUMP, so now we have GUMP, G-U-M-P, so write it down. So G is they're goal-oriented. What that means is that their goal for themselves, like their sales goal for themselves, is equal to or greater what your goal is for them. Like so often, we'll use this assessment. So if you want to ask us, we can actually assess your people to see their level of goal orientation. And they'll say, man, I'm so surprised that Fred doesn't have a very high goal score. And I'll go, well, why are you surprised? And they'll say, well, because we have goals, we have quotas. Like, I don't understand why. Got it. Well, this assessment measures their goal level for themselves, not your quota for them. And that's the difference. Because if you want to manage people, then hire people with low goals. What does that mean? If you want to constantly manage their activities, manage their things, manage what they're supposed to be doing, you want to be kind of like writing them constantly, then you want to hire people with low goals. But if you want to coach people to achieve their goals, achieve what they desire, then you want to hire people that the goals they have for themselves are equal to or greater your quota for them. Then you're just going to them and they already have their plan. They already know what they're trying to accomplish. And you're just figuring out, hey, what's stopping you from executing? What do you need to work on? Is it a mindset thing? Is it a process thing? Is it a language thing? Is it an objection thing? Let's role play. Let's figure this out. But they're self-initiated. And so you're just kind of removing the obstacles along the way, but you're not having to push them up a hill. And that is the difference. So G for goal-oriented. U stands for unleashed. So again, I wrote about this in my book called The Mindset of a Sales Warrior. There's 4 types of leashes: stories, self-image, reluctances, and rules. Basically, it's any kind of excuse or insecurity or inner stress that's preventing them from selling or executing that we need to do. So we want to hire people that are excuseless, that are fearless. Again, we all have some kind of fear. FPG is really good about removing that fear in people, but it's very important to hire people with the least amount of fear as possible when we're hiring. All right. The next is M for motivation. And so motivation is that intrinsic drive, right? It's that drive, like persevering and keep hustling and keep following through. Think about how often we get ghosted by prospects, right? You have to have a certain level of energy, internal resilience to kind of keep calling, right? Keep figuring it out, keep finding a way, right? So a lot of times, and this could be another webinar I could do for you, a lot of times salespeople have what's called motivation leaks. And so what it means is, instead of thinking about the next sale they need to make, they're thinking about like their wife and kids or their husband, or they're thinking about, the dance recital coming up, or they got some kind of personal problem going on, whatever. They're not compartmentalized. Think about their golf game they're about to have, right? They're not compartmentalizing about, hey, I'm present right now. And I got a job to, I leave it all in the field. I need to focus on sales. I need to focus on moving sales forward. I need to focus on how to get this job done. And then when I'm done with work, I could be all in at home. I could be all with my wife, my kids and husband, and so forth, right? But that motivation is so important. And a lot of salespeople have a lot of kind of motivation leaks. And so we got to compartmentalize that emotion. And then last is P for procedural base. And procedural base means, it's someone who wants to follow a process, right? They want to stick to a ritual. They want to have the disciplines to follow a process. And, they don't want that flexibility of every customer is different. They want to follow something predictable, and they're excited about doing that. It makes it very easy to train a person like that. So again, first decision you must make as a leader to 10x your sales is only hire going forward coachable gumps, goal-oriented, unleashed to fear, motivated to keep prospecting, procedural-minded salespeople. If you do this, then the other 3 decisions obviously become a lot easier. But all these decisions matter. That's the first one. So on a scale of 1 to 100, why don't you kind of check that out, right? What are you guys doing right now? For example, do you have an assessment they're using to decide if they're a coachable gump? What kind of behavioral interview questions are you using to decide if they're a coachable gump? Are you draft picking them? Are you ranking them? What are you doing, right? What are you doing to make sure that you're ensuring yourself that you're only hiring the absolute best, the best coachable gumps? All right, next decision. The second decision that you want to master is you must train your salespeople as if they were active duty military or as if they're an athlete. Right? I grew up in the Texas football world, and it was this obsession of constantly training, right? This belief system of always training. One of our daughters, Elizabeth, is a soccer player, and she has a t-shirt that literally says always training. What a cool t-shirt. It's like, I'm always training. I'm always trying to get better. I'm always trying to learn something. And so the best of the best sales teams, they train every single week. Every week, they're learning something, they're listening to something, they're practicing something, they're role-playing something. Of course, most of those companies are partnering with us. Well, we're giving them the curriculum every single week, right? We're giving them the ideas, we're giving them the content, we're holding them accountable inside their organization. But regardless if you use us or use someone else, you've got to have consistent training, right? Think about this right now. No football player would ever just read a book on how to play football and then go play a game. They wouldn't do that, right? They're going to be practicing every single day, every single week to get ready for the game. And so we have to do the same thing for our salespeople. We have to treat them as though they're athletes, and we have to coach them like athletes. And that's the way you want to look at it. So again, always training, consistent, every single week training on 3 things: what they think about, what they say, and what they do, right? So what are they thinking about in the situation? What are they saying in the situation? And what are they doing in the situation? And make sure you're always, I call it the Holy Trinity of behavioral change, right? What we think about, say, and what we do. We have to focus on those three things at all times. That's number two. So the first decision, hire coachable gumps. Second decision, always be training like an athlete, like a military personnel. The third decision is you must coach your sales athletes, your sales warriors, like you're Nick Saban, right? So think about it right now. If Nick Saban, considered to be like one of the greatest coaches of all times, if he was running your sales team, what would he do differently? How would he speak to them differently? But one of the things that we know for sure is he'd be in the field, right? He'd be in the field. He'd be talking about leads. He'd be doing one-on-ones. He'd be going over their prospects, going over their top 10 list. He would be coaching them and helping them move coaching sales forward. What he would be doing is in the skybox, like figuring out how the game went after the game is over, right? He wouldn't be doing that. He's in the field. He's leading from the front lines. And that is very, very important, right? So the best sales leaders, the best organizations are run by the Nick Sabans of sales leadership. So the fourth decision that you must make is stop being a manager and start being a sales leader. Start being a sales coach of your people by creating that structure of accountability, right? By having those daily huddles, by having structured sales meetings, by creating a culture of high performance where people really want to be there, by, again, leading by example. If a salesperson says, you know what, I'm not sure I can sell through this, then you jump in and say, you know what, I'll try. Let me take the next customer. Let me take the next situation. Lead from the front. Your salespeople will respect you the most if you lead from the front. All right, so again, first decision, only hire coachable gums. Second decision, train them as if they're athletes, right? Always be training. The third, coach them like Nick Saban, lead from the front. And then the fourth decision is a cool one. And the fourth decision is you want to shift your cultural identity. So right now, if you are a home builder who has salespeople, you don't want to be that. You want to be a sales and marketing organization that happens to sell homes. If you're a flooring company that has sales and marketing, you don't want to be that. You want to be a sales and marketing company that sells flooring. You want to be a sales and marketing company that sells fences or sells pools. You want to be a sales and marketing company that sells manufacturing services, or a sales and marketing company that sells financial services. You just want to be a sales and marketing company that sells blank. Even us, we're a fractional sales leadership company, we're a sales recruiting company, and we're a sales training company, but we're not. We're actually a sales and marketing company that sells sales recruiting, sales training, and fractional sales leadership services. So you want to change your identity. Now, why does that matter? Well, because if you can change your identity, everything changes for you. I love this line from Kobe Bryant, right? Kobe Bryant said, whenever he was in kind of basketball mode, he identified as the Black Mamba. The Black Mamba was this character from Kill Bill, and he just wanted to have this identity. He was actually, the person who helped him do this was a guy named Tim Grover, great book called Relentless, and I believe Winning is the second book. But the idea is, how can you anchor an identity shift? Because we all know that your behaviors and your emotions are always going to be congruent with the identity that you have. So like right now, for example, if you see yourself as a dad, what are the behaviors and the belief systems that would be congruent to be a dad? But all of a sudden, if you shift and you're like now a CEO or an owner of a company, well, that's a different identity. So looking through the eyes of a CEO has kind of a different identity or a different structure, a different belief structure, a different behavioral structure than looking through the eyes of a dad or a mom or a sister or a brother or a best friend or a salesperson. These are all different identities. So like right now, for example, again, if you're a roofing company, happens to have sales and marketing, well, your identity is that of a roofing company, right? It's just different. And it kind of tolerates sales and marketing. But if you see your identity as, hey, you know what? We're a world-class sales and marketing organization. We want to be revered as the best sales and marketing organization, period. Like, period, no exceptions, like in the world, like that's the best we want to do. And first we're going to get that right. And our product and service is going to be blank. It's going to be roofing. It's going to be whatever it is. It's going to be internet, TV, whatever it is. It changes how you see things. And now all of your decisions are made through the lens of how does this improve our chances to get more customers, marketing, more customers that are excited about talking to salespeople, marketing. How does it improve our brand, marketing? How does this decision improve our sales experience? How does this improve our customer experience, right? It all changes if you change your identity. And I know that fourth one sometimes is the hardest one, but right now, name a single company that you can think of that is not 10xing someone else, that doesn't see themselves as a sales and marketing company that does blank, right? Apple, sales and marketing company. Virgin, sales and marketing company. Tesla, sales and marketing company. These are sales and marketing companies that sell blank. And those are the reasons why, again, they 10x everyone else. Okay, so those are the four decisions. And again, right now, I want you to go through and take an exercise and evaluate yourself on a scale of 1 to 100 in each of these four areas. And then give yourself a little accountability. Like, what's your next first step? What are you going to work on? What are you going to commit to like right now that's going to help you improve? Is it hiring better? Is it consistent weekly training? Is it coaching? Is it changing your identity and having this conversation internally? Of course, if you're lacking the internal resources to pull this off, then contact us, right? We can help you, obviously, with any of these resources. We can give you the resources you need, the skills you need, the mindset you need, processes you need in order to master this. If you have any questions at all regarding the 4 decisions and how to implement them, then your team, email us again at sales@fpg.com. Until next time, this is Jason Forrest. Push yourself to become a better version of you.